it's Chris and Mitchell from Team Anaconda. We're going to look at a little attacking system from north-south, or a position I like to call the 11 o'clock shadow, which is if north-south, directly north was 12 o'clock, we're around at about 11 o'clock. So when we get to this position, we're not trying to squash our opponent into the mat, we're actually just putting some frames around them and setting a couple of traps. What we're going to do here is we're going to go to 11 o'clock shadow, we're going to go to 11 o'clock knee ride, and we're going to use some pressure on the chest to make them turn, to attack the top arm, and then if we can get behind their elbow, we can drop straight into a nice dance choke. So let's have a look how that works. Okay, so first of all we're going to do a basic knee slice guard pass, and we're going to show you how we can do a couple of back steps to get to the 11 o'clock shadow and what the 11 o'clock shadow is, the position and how we control someone there. Okay, so now we've passed the guard, we've got around to north-south. We're going to get to the 11 o'clock shadow position. As I said, if north-south or north is 12 o'clock, I'm actually going to move to 11 o'clock where I've got a knee near the head, a knee near the shoulder. And we're concentrating on squashing or trapping this shoulder, so this side of the body, upper body. I'm going to have two frames in place. I'm going to go, generally our opponent will have his arms in like this, so we're defending his neck, we're keeping his arms tight, defending. So this arm is going to go over the top of this elbow, like this, and I put a frame on the ground next to the hip here, and then this one is the opposite. It's containing the forearm, and it's around this shoulder here. So essentially I've got a frame or a wedge around this shoulder and a wedge in here, okay, and I've just got my chest on top of his pec or the shoulder and chest here. I'm not trying to squash him down, in fact I want him to push and to try and free his arms. So when we're here, if he just tries to move around, say if you bring your feet in, Mitchell, and just try and shuffle around, this arm stays against the hip, this arm stays against the shoulder, and I make sure wherever he moves, I stay at 11 o'clock. So if he just tries to start moving around, I just make sure he doesn't push me to 12 o'clock, where he can now bridge and bring his legs up. Do that. And I'll make sure he doesn't force me around to 9 o'clock, where he can bring a shin inside and start to regard. So now 11 o'clock shadow becomes this trap where I block the hip and the shoulder, and I just keep myself here, my knees are in, and if he tries to move around, I just block him on the move, and I make sure I stay at 11 o'clock. The way our arms are positioned here is, if this arm comes out, I actually want it to come out the back side. Okay, so when I'm here, I'll make sure that his arm can't thread out this front way here. So I'm here like this. So I create some space, but I'll make sure if this arm comes out, it pops out the back. Vice versa, I'm almost forcing this arm out the front. Okay, so this shoulder's flat. I'm here, so if his arms do come out, it's in this arrangement with this arm backwards, this arm forwards. Okay, so we can look at a couple of those traps from this position here. If this arm comes out backwards, I can trap this, move around, and get a inside elbow lock. For example, this arm comes out, we can trap it here. Straight arm lock, we can use this to force him, so if he brings that arm out, we can use this to force him to roll with it, and we can turn that into a Kimura. Okay, so generally he doesn't want his arms straightened, so he bends it and gives us that Kimura. So they're the two main, I guess, from this position. If he tries to get his arms out and move, there's that one. The other one comes out, bang, and we've got those two. Essentially the two primary weapons from the 11 o'clock shadow. Okay, another thing we can do from the 11 o'clock shadow is move into the 11 o'clock knee ride. So in this position here, bring your knees up. Yeah, so we're here, what I'm going to do is move into this knee ride position, but the knee ride, what I'm trying to do is turn him onto his side. So if our opponent is just kind of staying here and not doing anything, we need to force the action. So one of the things we can do is pop into knee ride and force the turn. So how we can do that is we're going to block his arms. I'm going to come up to knee ride at 11 o'clock, put this knee into his pec, so the chest muscle, and try and scrape that muscle off his body to this side. So when we're here, I pop up, I find my knee on his chest, and then I drive it forward and down, which is going to cause him to turn. And now we've got this top arm we're looking to attack. Okay, once we turn to here, we're looking to attack this top arm. Generally, if he's in this position, he knows I'm trying to get under this elbow. Okay, so if I can get under this elbow, we've got our Kimura trap set up, we're going to start moving into that. So he really wants to, in this position, he's tucking this elbow nice and tight. Might be hard for us to get under there. So, because his body's round, his arm is straight, for him to hide his elbow, it's really hard for him to hide his wrist at the same time. Okay, if he tries to hide his wrist, his elbow comes up. So it's hard for him to hide both of them at the same time. So what we're going to do is attack his wrist first. So when we've got into this position here, I'm actually going to force his elbow down, which makes his wrist accessible, so I can come inside out here, trap it under my armpit. This arm's going to slide down to the floor, and I'm going to back step here to get the Anaconda shoulder lock. So again, we've got this arm, top arm exposed, push this down, scoop the wrist, and we'll get the tap there. As I said, when we push this elbow down, we might be able to scoop under this wrist. One of the things that can happen here when we come under this wrist for this Anaconda is this hand might escape. So when we're here and I push this through and I'm trying to attack here, his wrist is going to pop out, but what we've done is we've exposed the elbow. So if the wrist does pop out, we've come under the elbow, and then we can switch straight to our Kimura attack as well. So if you have a look at that again, for example, we've turned, we've pressured the elbow, we've got under the wrist. Okay, I'm looking for this Anaconda. He frees that. We can switch to our Kimura attack from there. Good. Okay, so also another submission we can look for at the 11 o'clock shadow. At an intermediate advanced level, when I get around here, the Das choke is the #1 submission. Okay, so all that other stuff is good, but people want to keep their arms in tight. They're not going to give anything up easily. So what we're doing is we're forcing this arm across the body so we can get behind his elbow. Essentially that's what we're looking to do. So when we're in this position here, I'm looking to use the two frames to lift this shoulder, which exposes this arm, so I can pull this across, and then we shoot that down and finish the Das choke there. Okay. Most of the time, this person as well, in the 11 o'clock shadow, they're trying to get to turtle. Right? So with the 11 o'clock shadow, because I'm on this shoulder, it feels like they can't roll this way at all, because I'm on this shoulder, this one's got no weight on it. It feels like they can roll that way all the time. And essentially that's the dust track. So when I'm here, okay, and it's called a shadow because I'm not like trying to pull myself down into them to crush him. I'm actually hovering just over the top. So if he keeps his arms and everything in tight here, if he tries to roll this way, it's hard because I'm on this side. But if he tries to roll that way, he runs into this, but he can actually turn. So as he turns, I just force this elbow down. Once I'm behind this elbow, we just shoot through there and finish the dast choke. So the 11 o'clock shadow it's a position where we lock them in here. We stay tight. If they get this arm out, there's a trap here. I can attack this arm. If he gets his arm out, we use that to transition to our Kimura stuff. If he tries to turn to turtle to try and get up, we just pull his arm down, shoot that through and get our dast. That would be our high percentage move, number 1 move. If he really doesn't do anything and just stays there, we transition to our next 2 moves from the 11 o'clock knee ride.